Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I just want to do a quick short video about what happens to bullies. I thought of this because I was watching very sad story. I think it's an old story. It's about 3 years old of a child who was bullied and she committed suicide, and it was just really sad. And it got me thinking about because I have a child who's in her is entering teenage, and I know how hard it can be for some children. And it's sorry, it's one of those things that can really change somebody's life. The lighting is not great. Let me try something else. Yeah, I like this lighting more. So it's something that can really change how somebody looks at things and stuff like that. Now, when I was younger, I think I was around 7, 8. Well, I had to be under 10 years old because I started at another school when I was 11. So yeah, it was under 10 years old. So I remember that there was this girl who was in my school, and we're going to call her DK. This girl made it her mission to torture me. I'm telling you, she would call me names, she would insult me, she used to reach a place and just tell all the girls not to talk to me, and if anybody talks to me, then she's not going to talk to them. And I was quite intelligent, and so was she. That's the funny thing. It's not, sometimes they say that the bright kids are bullied by the non-bright kids, but she was also like, they used to give us positions in the class. I know this doesn't happen never currently, but we used to be given positions, and I was always in the top three. She was also always in the top three. Worst case scenario, I think it was only just one time that she was number four, but as in she was quite bright also. So uh it wasn't even an issue of this one is brighter than this one. She just bullied me. um and it was so bad that one time she actually beat me up, and she beat me up, and then she pushed me and I fell. And I think one of my cousins came to pick me up at lunchtime, because I don't remember why, but my cousin came to pick me up at lunchtime, and I just started vomiting. And she was like, "Why are you vomiting?" And I couldn't even talk. I just started vomiting so much. And then she took me to my mom, and I had this note that I had written to my mom about how I don't ever want to come back to school and how I'm angry. And it was just really, really bad. And my mom took the note, and we went to the class teacher, and they were punished. The kids were punished. Now the problem is, after the kids being punished, they came back with full force. And DK was so mean to me that I think, in my mind, I've always hated. Now, okay, I changed schools and everything. Well, funny enough, she changed schools just when my parents were also thinking of me changing schools. Anyway, the school we were in was not also the best school, so eventually I was going to change schools anyway. But yeah, um, my entire life, I did not like people with that name D, the first name D, right? Um, Now, she grew up, and this is the part that I actually want to talk about. She grew up and lived on with her life, right? And I'm now 40, and well, 41. Happy birthday to me. Um, and last year, just before I turned 40, I think I was 39, a few weeks before I turned 40. I mean, she still comes up. Like, I remember one time, somebody told me that my daughter was ganging up with some girls against her daughter, and I was so mad at my daughter. I cried and told her, "Do not ever bully anybody." And I told her this story, and she felt so bad. She was like, oh God, somebody did that to my mommy, and my mommy still remembers. Okay, she thinks I'm very old, but she was like, you still remember all this. I'm like, yeah, because the bullies never remember, but the people who are bullied remember every detail of it. So I grew up, everything continued, and life happened, right? So I sent her, so one day I'm on Facebook, and then people are talking stuff, and then I saw her comment on something, and I was like, hey, I used to know somebody with this exact names. DK, I used to know somebody with these names. So I decided, let me inbox her because I remember very well what she looks like, but um, her profile picture was a picture of a tree or something, and she did not have, it was some plant. I don't know. I don't even remember what it was, and she did not, like, it was a blocked profile, so you couldn't see anything about it. So I went in and just inboxed her and just told her, hi, I used to know somebody with this name. Would you by any chance have gone to that school between the years of this and this? And then she's like, oh yeah, I did. Oh, were you there? I'm like, yeah, I was. And to think that this is somebody who every single morning used to laugh at me and call me with my full name and beat me up and take my money and do all that, but she could not remember me. Like, totally could not remember me. She was like, I cannot remember you at all. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. And then I told her, do you remember anybody like who you went to school with? And she mentioned two people. She was like, you know what? I only remember two people. She mentioned one boy, who I also remember. And then she mentioned one girl who, funny enough, happened to have been my best friend at that time. But she couldn't remember me. Either she just did not want to have this confrontation, or she just couldn't remember me. And to be honest, I have talked to a few people who bullied people in school, and you know what they tell me? They tell me, the funny thing is, I keep meeting all these people who tell me that I bullied them when we were in school, and the only thing I remember is, well, we used to beat up some fat girl. I don't remember what that fat girl's name was. And then now these people have lost the weight and they don't look like the fat girl anymore. So to them, you are an object. You don't really exist outside their fun of bullying you. So it's, I don't know, it's just not, you're not something that they think about, right? So I've spent a good part of 30 years with the pain that this woman caused me. And honestly, she made me so much so that when I went to the other school, I had such a defense mechanism, and I think it's been happening everywhere. Until now, when I go to work, I I have to find like that one loyal person who will stick by me, because my so-called best friend was not that loyal. She used to shift alliances. But I keep feeling like I need to at least have one person who will be loyal to me. And it's it's really stupid because nobody owes you anything. But it's just that. And small things like this that were impacted by what happened to me when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. And she grew up, and it's not her, well, I mean, she was a bully, but it's not her fault. I don't know how her life has evolved. I don't know how good or bad her life has become. I have no idea. I just know that what I felt and what I thought, I think in my mind, I just wanted some kind of justice, some kind of karma. I really, at that moment, when we were exchanging that conversation, I just wanted to send her a message and tell her, do you remember how you used to beat me up and take my lunch money? And then I was like, but why am I bringing it up? For me, it was a healing moment. It really was. It helped me to just realize that, Mercy, you're holding on to something, and the person that hurt you has moved on. And that might not have been the best thing, I probably should have told her, but what difference would it make? You get what I mean? I mean, if I would have just, I mean, I tell her, and then what difference? What extra does it add to my life? What extra does it remove in her life? Her knowing that she was a horrible person once upon a time, she's probably a mother right now. Why would I want to put that in her? She's probably someone who has changed. Maybe her life did go badly. Do I really need her to feel like, oh, this is karma punishing me for that woman that I had? You know, I don't know what kind of a mind space she's in. If we would have met, like on the streets, and I recognized her, I would have been like, oh, hi, how are you? Then I think face to face, if especially if I actually know something about her, I would have mentioned. I would have been like, oh God, you made my life hell. And you know that one, you're face to face. You can tell from somebody's reaction if, okay, should I pursue this conversation or not? And you know, but for me, that was that was about all I needed, and it helped me with the healing. I found I didn't even, the funny thing is I didn't even know that I needed to heal. I honestly did not know that. I talked to my therapist about it and she was like, wow, well, okay. But I didn't even know that this was one of the things that I was still holding on to, because to me, and it really did block me. Like, when you ask me about my school life, I will talk about my high school because I absolutely loved it. It was boarding and it was fun. I will talk about my primary school, but my primary school I will talk about from class 5 until the end. Anything below that, I don't even want to mention, because to me, there was just so much pain. There was just so much pain, and I just kept feeling like every single day, what did I do to this girl? And I can say that I think that's where I learned how to really, like, I would do, you know, I would do so much for this girl that we had this canteen where you can buy snacks, and you have to kind of push your way in. There was no queuing or anything like that. You have to push your way in, and I was tinier than her. I've always been tinier than everybody around me. Um, so when the big kids are buying stuff, I could actually pass under their feet. I had mastered the art of doing that. And I started doing that and just, passing under their feet and going to buy stuff for her, because that is just how you can imagine passing under teenagers' feet, because some of them are teenagers, the older kids, they're 12, 13, 14, and you're passing under their feet, you're 7, 8 years old, passing under people's feet, they can step on you. But it's just, that's the height of fear I had for this girl. And I wanted so much to be liked by her, because she was, I don't even know, she was just her. Anyway, that's it, I guess. For me, I feel like I just needed to do this video because I was watching that video about how a kid committed suicide, and it just got me thinking that, sometimes when we're bullied, what happens to the bullies after they grow up? Bad news. Most of them don't even remember that they bullied you. And even if they remember that they bullied you, they don't even consider it a footnote in their life. They're just like, yeah, well, I bullied you, so what? Get over it. And yet you're there suffering the consequences of it. So it's really, ooh, it's a tough thing. It's really, really a tough thing. And if you are a bully and you can remember somebody that you bullied, just, and you watch this video, just think about it like this. It took me 30 years of me avoiding that name, because I felt she's a horrible person, and yet she was moving on with her life. Like, those 30 years, she probably didn't even remember anything about me. And I'm there holding on to this, and you can imagine how much it then shaped my life. in a positive and in a negative way, but I could have done without that experience. I could have still been a good, empathetic person without needing to have that experience, you know? I'm assuming that because my mother is extremely empathetic, so I could have inherited that from her. But part of the reason why I feel so sad for the underdog is because for me, I just felt like, what did I do to this woman, and how can I make it right? Well, woman, girl, how can I make it right, you know? And even when it happened to me as an adult, when I was bullied by somebody when I started at a new place of work and she was trying to make my life hell, I drew back to that, and for a short time I thought, maybe I'm just meant to not be liked. And then I remembered, hey, Lassie, stop it. All these years you've had people who like you, you've had people who don't like you. Just because somebody decides to really express their like by demonstrating it as a bully doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that that's how they demonstrate their like, their dislike. So just move on with it. And but what you need to remember is bullies move on with their lives. The victims suffer the pain of remembering the details of the bullying, and unfortunately it's just something that stays with us for a very long time. Okay, so that's it, my people. Hope that you learned something from this. If you did, let me know.